Hello, this is Tom, aka Jedio, here for Tabletop Tap Room and Star Frontiers Gamer with another Fanzine Friday, number 53, which means we are reviewing Frontier Explorer 28. Another good issue, one of my favorites. I got some favorite articles that I wrote. I really enjoyed the articles that I happen to write that were in here, but there's also some really cool artwork in this particular issue by Jerry Bosher in particular. Actually, just a ton of great artwork in here by a number of artists. So let's get into it. But before we do, I just want to say thank you for watching the video. Thanks to my subscribers. You guys are great. And don't forget to hit that like, subscribe, and bell icon in YouTube. Help me build the channel. Helps with the algorithm. Maybe even leave a comment in the comments. Moving right along, we have Frontier Explorer, number 28. This is it's a whole new style to the covers that we're doing since the 2018 Evil Hat trademark squatting affair. And this is probably one of my least favorite covers. I kind of just don't get the artwork here. But, you know, everything is taste. And there was actually internal art that I was like, why didn't we use that? And I kind of know why we didn't. It lacked a little bit of background detail. If it had a little more background, but the foreground detail was so dramatic, I thought, oh, this is cover art. It just lacked a little bit of background detail. But let's move right along to the table of contents. So in this issue, you get some new combat rules, don't step on the landmines, evaluating Villians of Volturnus for canonicity. You get create a character codex. That is a source of some artwork. Somebody came up with this character codex where you roll the dice and it gives you a bunch of results and then you draw that. And so some of the artists, some of the fans who are artists, we're like kind of going wild with it, and we got some really great artwork out of that. And so that's an interesting selection in here. More on landmines. This is Joe Kabadass's series of things that go boom. So 2 whole articles on landmines. And you say, why would we need 2 whole articles on landmines? Well, you know, suppose the characters are visiting a planet and it's had a past civilization or a present civilization that's a little more primitive than them. Maybe you might want to use a historically accurate but more primitive style of landmine, maybe something with a triple R. So you might want to just steal an idea. Would be technology that would harass the players and abuse them badly, but it would not be technology that they could just collect and use themselves because it's a little more primitive. And I see a value to that. So I'm actually glad we have these 2 exhaustive, you know, landmine articles in the Things That Go Boom series. And then Whip It Good, which is a song lyric, but we're going to be reviewing the rules on whips and introducing a few new equipment items. Spoiler alert, it's whips. And we have the Titan Rising and Escape Plan comics. There's the Jurek Hangna 2 Seconds with the Slurka. This is the Ecology of article. And set on Morgane's World. And then we have a review of Peril at the Pod Auction. Let's jump right to one of the more interesting articles, I think, which happens to be evaluating Villians of Volturnus. And I shrunk that down to show more of the cover. But so Villians of Volturnus, it was one of 3 of the Pick Your Path adventures that they produced under the Star Frontiers name. 2 of them are set properly in the Star Frontiers setting, and 1 is not. That is Trouble on Artool. It's Star Frontiers in name only. But I wanted to take Villians of Volturnus and mine it for any setting details. You know, it was just pure fan nerdiness on my part. So I went through it, you know, and normally you would, to try to get everything you could out of one of these books, you'd be like, all right, you'd bookmark a page, because it would say, all right, if you want to do this, go to page 69, and if you want to do that, go to page 28. And so you'd bookmark it and you'd go to 69, then you find out bad stuff happened. So you go back and do the other path. By holding, and I usually did this. I had these books, and we'd be on a trip, family trip, like to when I was in 7th grade going into 8th grade, we took a trip from Plattsburgh, New York to California. Ostensibly, it was one to see family living in California, but my father was flying out of an Air Force base in California for his 13 months in Korea. So we drove as a family cross country, stopped in Missouri, saw family, saw the Grand Canyon, Petrified Forest, and got to California. And then Dad flew out to Korea. And, so it's a long trip. And you bring a book like this along. And so constantly, I didn't have bookmarks. I was using my fingers. And so I'd be like 4 fingers just in case the path I had gone down had gone wrong. I don't know if anybody else had that experience, but that was what I did on a trip cross country from Plattsburgh, New York to California. These were my bookmarks. And so, if you died or were captured by pirates and it said, this is the end of your adventure, I'd go back and do other choices. But so to actually mine this for all the setting details, I read it like you would a regular book, page by page. No following the turn to page 69. No, I just went page 1, read, turn, page 2, read, and it just all the way through, jotting down all the information. Then I tried to organize that information. And so that's what you get with this article, because in this type of a document, things are you just can't access the information that's in there. You can't find what you're looking for. So that's why I wrote this. And that's why I think this is a significant article in the Fan magazine. So you get a discussion here of the nature of the adventure. And I spent a lot of time on this because a whole new megacorp is presented. But I think that new megacorp actually is Streel. That I float the proposition that because this story is so fantastical, it has such crazy, fantastical kind of things that happen in it, that what it really represents is a holographic holodrama produced by Starplay to entertain juveniles, that it is essentially juvenile literature. It has a lot of the earmarks of literature that is marketed to juveniles. And that's actually the truth in the real world, that it was targeted at the 11, 12, 13-year-old market. And it's very much juvenile literature. In fact, in some ways, it borrows from H.R. Puffin's stuff, Saturday morning TV show, and identify some of the elements in this that are clearly, I think, borrowed from that Saturday morning kids TV show. And so I make the contention that this is within the setting, holographic drama that was produced by Starplay Megacorp for the juvenile market. And therefore, we can we can chalk up anything that's really kind of cuckoo crazy in the details as poetic license on the part of the writers of the holodrama. And I definitely think Universal Minerals, the megacorp that's presented in here, is Streel, but it's kind of like if we were writing a comedy about an executive working at a cola company, we would not call that cola company Coca-Cola. We might call it Choke. Instead of Coke, we'd call the soda Choke or something like that, to file the serial numbers off. Everybody knows we're talking about Coca-Cola, but so Universal Minerals, to me, seems like it's Streel with the serial numbers filed off for the purposes of producing a movie. And so there's substantial discussion of that. And I go into the details and the arguments. Earth, the home world of humanity, ? This document actually references Earth and Earth's moon in a joke told by the kid. Now, that's interesting to me because clearly the introductory historical blurb in the basic game for Star Frontiers clearly states that Earth does not exist in the setting. And I have, after, I don't know, for 15 years, I've argued for Earth belongs in the setting. Belongs in the setting, but far away and not able to communicate with the frontier. That's the position I've taken for a good 15 years. And, you know, and I have to nod the head to those who are purists, to those who are grognards, who are like, no, not rules as written. Yeah, I understand. But for my game, I go with Earth in the setting. Here is a canon document that is clearly placing Earth in the setting, in contradiction to the actual Alpha Dawn basic game rules. Now, clearly, Alpha Dawn basic game rules hold a greater level of canonicity than this document. But I find it interesting that it's placed in here. It's actually part of a very Tolkien-esque joke battle. If you remember in The Hobbit, when Bilbo engages in a battle of wits with Gollum telling riddles. Well, this is a joke battle between the kid and a Drawlacite pirate. And there's a bet in place that the kid bets him that he can make him laugh in 3 jokes. And if he makes the pirate laugh in 3 jokes, the pirate has to let him leave. It's very, very juvenile, kind of a plot point. And so the kid tells a super corny joke about Earth and Earth's moon, and it cracks the Drawlacite up, as it would. And so the Drawlacite pirate lets him go. I kind of have a problem with that as a plot point, but you know, again, we're talking, this is very much in that genre of juvenile literature aimed at 11, 12, 13-year-olds. So the actual joke is, why don't humans go to Earth's moon for vacation? And the answer is because it has no atmosphere. Yuck, yuck, yuck. Very, like I said, super corny. Definitely on the Drawlacite spectrum, if I can coin that phrase. So I just found that interesting that you did have a actual document in the canon of Star Frontiers, and I admit a Pick Your Path book probably shouldn't have the same canonicity as, say, the Alpha Dawn rules or some of the modules. Quite possibly, this should have more canonicity than maybe Zebulon's Guide. But I just found it interesting that you have this endorsement of the existence of Earth and Earth's moon. Next up is the discussion of the fate of the Enora. The fate of the Enora is actually up in the air. There are a plethora of possible endings for the Starspawn of Volturnus module. There is the classic Hollywood ending where they find the egg ship with 50,000 eggs in suspended animation, and the Enora, wave a wand, are no longer a dying species with only 150 individual. 20 or 30 of them have gone insane. So yeah, it's you got the Hollywood endings to there's still a dying species, to the Sathar actually winning the Battle of Vokos. That is a possible outcome. It is not guaranteed that the players will win the Battle of Vokos. So there's a whole spectrum of possible endings for the Volturnus modules. What do you know, every game master has to make a decision about what is the fate of the Enora. And I have just gone with the Hollywood ending. Call me a sucker. I like the first True Grit for the Hollywood ending that it has. John Wayne, of course, they can't have that grittier ending that you got with the Coen brothers. So I made a decision a good 15, 20 years ago. I was going with the Hollywood ending. They find the egg ship. The Enora are no longer, they're a very minor race, but they're no longer a dying species. And, and I, began thinking, how does that impact this? But this book seems to go with, they're still a dying species. This book seems to endorse that egg ship was not found and they're a dying species. And the Frontier, the UPF, takes over Volturnus. That explains the governorship a little bit better. That, this is actually, doing this project of writing this article has made me rethink the fate of the Enora in my particular game. There's a discussion about the Kurabunga will inherit. Classic phrase, the meek will inherit the earth. The Kurabunga will inherit Volturnus. And I say this because of all the 3 primitive species, there is one species, and it's demonstrated in this document, that is going to embrace technology and the modern frontier society. And that's the Kurabunga. Now, in the book, they are very much presented as working for the pirates. They're carrying laser rifles. They're wearing sky suits. They're using modern technology. They're still treated as primitives, as a minor race. But they are employed by the pirates and they are engaging in technology. And I thought about it, and I'm, of all the species, the Kurabunga are going to be motivated to embrace modern technology. And that's because of the hang gliding. In the Volturnus Planet of Mystery, we find out that the Kurabunga are into hang gliding. They're hang gliding aficionados. Their participation in the Battle of Vokos is from hang gliders. They like to fly. And the minute they see a jet copter, they're going to be like, oh yeah, I want to fly that. So be able to fly a jet copter, they've got to get modern education. They've got to learn modern skills, modern technology. They are going to be motivated. You could have elders back at the village decrying that all the youth are being, taken away and nobody's holding to the old ways and the old, who's going to pass on the old stories and all the culture. You're going to have that. Sure. I think you'll have that. But I think the Kurabunga are going to be like, I want to fly. And modern technology lets me fly. And so, you're going to have Kurabunga, trying to get a glide jet. Screw the primitive hang glider. I want a glide jet, baby. I want to fly a jet copter. Ooh, something better than the jet copter. You've got air cars, even better. I think you will eventually find, as the Kurabunga go towards technology in the frontier setting, you will eventually find Kurabunga fighter pilots in the UPF or in a militia service or in a mercenary outfit that runs, that they've got a squadron of fighters and they got Corsair containers, the hangar containers that were attached to a freighter. And so it's a carrier for rent. It's not much of a carrier because it's just a Nighthawks freighter with Corsair containers, but it's got some teeth because you got a fighter squadron. And so you can rent these mercenaries out, and you'd find some Kurabunga as pilots among even there. So then there's a discussion of Volturnus flora. There's some crazy Volturnus flora presented in here. I discussed what you should do with it. Some Volturnus fauna. In particular, I have a problem with these. You see it in this upper corner here. These cubit creatures. They're basically a cube with 4 legs and a face on one side of the cube. And I think they're just kind of, no. And so I write them off as a feature of the juvenile literature. And so they don't exist, but they were written into the drama by the writers of the drama. And that's why they're in there. And then there's also what's really interesting is back in the Crash on Volturnus, you had the update file on the Ulmor. And in there it mentions that the Ulmor herd quidges and cactus wampers. So we learned that. We just get the names. We get no details, no stats, no nothing. Quidges and cactus wampers actually turn up in here in this thing. We even get illustrations of them. These are Quidges. There's no illustration of the cactus whomper, but I imagine it looking kind of like a Gila monster, a big Gila monster. And there's a symbiotic relationship between the Quidges and the cactus whompers, and I described that. Some of this clearly I have invented, and so I actually provide you with some stats for the Quidge and for the cactus whomper. Also discussed in here, invented for the Ulmore, is the herd hoppers, which is basically the canine equivalent analog for the Ulmore. They have a herd hopper. Acts just like a canine, like a Terran dog. So statted those up as well. And then there was some new equipment that was presented in here that's not on the equipment list. And I went ahead and just described that, assigned a cost, assigned a weight, and made those available for use. Discuss the Sathar holodisc. We see a Sathar holodisc in action in this adventure, and it behaves differently than the hollow field and the disc for the hollow fields that are part of the equipment list. And so I discuss that, and I kind of write that up as there's a difference in technology, because there should be some differences in technology. And so there's a little bit of a discussion about that, and we went on with that. There's also presented in this story plastic spelled with a K, coins for currency. I thought that was interesting because largely we've gone with an electronic currency. And then there's some plot hooks are presented. A dungeon crawl is possible based off of information from this adventure. And then there's a discussion of Sathar manipulation for a plot hook. Then, as I mentioned in my introductory remarks, we had this Star Frontiers Create a Character Codex. And somebody came up with this. This is really fun to roll on. And so you would roll on these things and come up with an adjective, a profession, and a race. And this led to these artists, and then you were supposed to draw it. And so we got this old Versk thief, you got all these great bits of artwork for, this is a slave bot. This kind of feels like it's right out of this particular image feels like it's right out of Disney's The Black Hole, where basically you had all the lobotomized, slave-botted crew of the Cygnus operating different stations on the ship. So just fantastic artwork that came about from that. So I love this because it gave us views of the frontier that we never had before, and just absolutely fantastic. And then Titan Rising comic and Peril at the Pod auction review. Peril at the Pod auction is this module on drive-thru. I picked it up for $1.01. It was on sale and normally retails for $1.50. I got it for $1.01 on sale. I caught one of those sales, Memorial Day sale, whatever it was. And so, I mean, score. Not that I couldn't have paid $1.50. I just enjoyed the fact I got it for $1. But this is a great little adventure. It's for White Star, which is D20 rules, easily convertible to Star Frontiers. And it was a great little idea. You're looking for something during a layover. Crew's got a layover. They might, visit a pod auction. Basically, the pods are cargo pods that have been abandoned, or people haven't paid the rent on them, that type of thing. And so they're being auctioned off. You don't know what's in them. It's a blind auction, or maybe, they open the thing. You can see what you can see, but you can't search the pod. But what you see tells you how much you potentially might want to bid. Because, the goal is to, buy it low and then sell what's in there and make money. And so, this is that basic thing going on. But then there's a few plot hooks also, things that could go wrong. And so I just thought this was a great little module. It's got a classic look, harkening back to classic D&D module covers. And I love the artwork for it. I thought it was well worth my $1 and a penny to download it. 2 seconds with a Slurker. Ecology of article on the Slurker. We get a nice little kind of biology illustration here, but down here we have this image, and I thought this should have been the cover of the magazine. And I probably could have stated the case better and won the argument with the editor if maybe the artist had put some trees in the background. If we had a little more background there, this would have made like a killer cover, I think. And so this was I just absolutely love this image. You know, you just know it's going bad. It's going south hard for this guy right here. And then next up is look at this artwork. Look at this perspective shot. So this is Jerry Bosher. He's killing it here. But I mean, this is masterclass from Jerry Bosher right here. This is, love this perspective shot. Absolutely. I would kill to get more artwork like this for the magazine all the time. This, you know, this type of artwork where you could do it as like a banner across the top of an article. I freaking love that. And the perspective, the absolute, this guy's about to step on a landmine. Freaking gorgeous. Jerry Bosher's killing it again here. So this is part 6, more on landmines, more of the landmine articles. But let's jump down to, let's not jump to the next article. At the very end of this, there's a mine clearing drones. Handy robot you might want to add to your arsenal. And then we come to Whip It Good. Now in Star Frontiers, whips and chains use the same stats for melee. You know, so I mean, I love a good chain in a melee fight. You know, I love that quote from Jane in Firefly when he says, "The chain of command is the chain I go get and beat you with till you say I'm in command." You know, it's nothing, you know, nothing wrong with a good chain for a melee fight, but whips have been used in movies long before Indiana Jones used it to swing across chasms and stuff and to snatch things and to knock things out of people's hands. Whips were used in the classic black and white cowboy dramas that, you know, I saw as a kid in the 70s. And so there were a number of dramatic things that were done with whips, and we're not really able to do that in the rules. So I actually examined what all those whip tricks are, which is one, you've got some reach. Discuss the issue of reach, that you could reach out and hit someone with it, that they would normally not be at melee range. But the whip has reach, so you can reach out and hit them beyond normal melee range. It doesn't really have a tremendous effect in game, other than because that person can totally move that short distance to then hit you with their chain of command. You know? So the reach advantage is it's discussed, but it's not like you're really adding much, honestly. But I think, you know, it was something worth discussing. Disarming, there is a feature to the rules for disarming. It's part of the unarmed combat and pinning other characters. And, you know, it was part of that. But I feel like, yeah, we should crack the whip. And so I present a procedure for using a whip to disarm someone, knock a weapon out of their hands. And then pulling opponents prone. You had the classic, you know, where the cowboy with the whip, and the whip wraps around the guy's legs and he pulls and he knocks the guy off his feet, and somehow the whip is, as soon as the guy has fallen, the whip decides then to release. And so pulling an opponent prone, present a procedure for doing that. And then for grabbing something with the whip, you know, to grab that beam and swing across the little chasm, as we saw in Indiana Jones. So, and then I present 3 different kinds of whips. Whips have been presented, stats for whips have been presented elsewhere. I feel like these rules should supersede. So you have the standard whip, then you have a superior whip, superior quality, and then master crafted. And they cost on these keeps going up, so that you have some degrees of quality here. I thought that was interesting. And then a stun whip that acts both as a whip, but also acts as a stun stick. So you've got that extra layer. So you can do a 1d6 of inertia damage from the whip, or 2d10 electrical damage, or you do 1d10 of inertia damage, and then you have the stun effect of the stun setting from the stun stick. And so that was just some fun, quick little one-page article, essentially. And then last but least, we get the escape plan number 6. So there you have it. Frontier Explorer number 28. Not my favorite cover. Something about the artwork on the cover just didn't grab me. It just didn't hook me in. I definitely thought that Slurker coming up behind that trooper was much more dramatic and would have potentially made a better cover. If it had had a little bit more background detail, it probably would have made the cover. But such as it is. So great issue. I loved writing the things that I wrote for this. Appreciated Joseph's Herculean task of just sticking to this exhaustively, things that go boom series that he did, and 2 articles on landmines here. Just absolutely thorough treatment of the topic by him. And then, of course, adding whips, just in case somebody says, I want to play Indiana Jones. Well, all right, you can. Here's your whip. Go to town. So this is Tom for Tabletop Taproom and Star Frontiers Gamer, signing out for another Fanzine Friday. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, and bell icon. Help me build the channel, and comment maybe. Comments help the algorithm as well. But until then, I will see you in the frontier.